Hi guys, this is Miss Price. Wanted to go ahead and redo lesson 3 for you. The poem we're going to be reading today is When I Heard the Learned Astronomer by Walt Whitman. The information on page 35 in your workbook is what you need to be, looking at if you would like. I'm not going to go into that, but just know that Walt Whitman was very famous at the time, and he was very influential during the Civil War. And President Lincoln really admired him, which I thought was really interesting. Um, okay, I want you to look. We're going to go back. Okay, so pages 33 and 34. The first word is astronomer. Let's look at the vocab. Astronomer is a noun. It's a scientist who studies outer space and the bodies, such as stars, moons, and planets in it. Figures is a noun. It's numbers or diagrams. Learned is an adjective. And the thing with Walt Whitman is when he uses when he comes to a word with ed in the end, he does an apostrophe d instead of an ed, so that he takes the e out and adds an apostrophe. Learned is an adjective. It's a shortened version of learned, in which the apostrophe stands in for the missing letter E, used to describe people who have spent many years studying one subject. Lecture is a noun. It is a talk usually given by a teacher or other expert on a single topic. Mystical is an adjective, not of this world. Okay, there are more on page 34. Proofs is a noun. In math, they are arguments that show an idea or rule must be correct. Unaccountable. Adjective, something that cannot be explained. A person who does not take responsibility. And this is what we do, guys. We hold you accountable, okay, not unaccountable. Anaphora is what we're going to be looking at with this poem in particular. Anaphora is the repetition of words at the start of a series of lines in a poem. Okay, so the actual poem is on page 27, so just flip back for me. The title of the poem is When I Heard the Learned Astronomer. When I Heard the Learned Astronomer. Line 1. When I heard the learned astronomer, when the proofs, the figures were ranged in columns before me, when I was shown the charts and diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, when I sitting heard the astronomer where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, how soon unaccountable I became, tired and sick. Till rising and gliding out, I wandered off by myself in the mystical moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars. Okay, if you notice, guys, in lines 1 through 4, each of the lines begins with when. When I heard, when the proofs, when I was shown, when I sitting heard. Okay, it's like those words that this is anaphora. It's like those words that keep repeating. When. It's just so boring, right? It's really just not exciting at all. If you notice in lines 5 through 8, these lines don't begin with when. So if you have been paying attention to the poem, okay, so what this speaker does, Walt Whitman, is he's sitting in a lecture hall listening to a lecture, and it sounds like there was a lot of applause in the lecture room from the different people. However, he was not enthused. He wasn't excited about it. He was bored. So what does he do? He gets up. He became tired and sick. He gets up, goes outside in the moist night air, and then looks up at the stars. And I don't know about you, but that is one of the best things that you can do is just to go outside, and look up at the stars. I think that's a fun thing to do, a great thing. So if you will, turn to pages 28 and 29, and we'll answer these questions um, to help us better understand the poem. All right, feel free that after I read the poem, feel free to pause it and answer your questions, okay? Number one, write down the first word of lines 5 through 8. What are those first words? Okay, those words are how, till, in, and looked to. How do these opening words differ from the opening words of lines 1 through 4? They are all different. Whereas in lines 1 through 4, they're all the same. You have the same word, which is when. 3. In lines 5, the speaker describes his feelings at the lecture. What words does he use to describe how he started to feel? Line 5. It says, how soon, unaccountable, I became tired and sick. So for this one, the first word that I see would be unaccountable. That's how he started to feel. He started to feel like he was not responsible. Oops, sorry, guys. Number 4, in the earlier discussion, okay, we predicted how the speaker might feel at the lecture. I didn't do that, but without looking at the poem, if you had skimmed and noticed line 5, the words that kind of stuck out for me were tired and sick. Okay, it says we predicted how the speaker might feel at the lecture. What clues did you use from the poem that helped you to make your prediction? I think he became tired and sick. And that's what I saw, tired and sick. Okay. 5. According to line 6, what did the speaker do as a result of these feelings? It says use the words from the poem. Till rising and gliding out, I what? Wandered off. So he wandered off. 6. Paraphrase your answer to question 5 by putting the poem's words in your own words. Okay. Wandered off means what? He walks away. He walks away. What does the speaker do in lines 7 through 8? Okay. He goes outside and he looks up at the stars. He goes outside and he looks up at the stars. Beginning with line 5, we're going to go ahead and finish up these questions. The poem no longer uses anaphora and instead begins each line with a different word. We know that in lines 1 through 4, the speaker is starting to feel sick and tired by using when. Why might someone who feels sick and tired use the same words over and over? Write it down. Probably because he is getting bored. Number 9, based on the variety of words used to start lines 5 through 8, how do you think the speaker might feel at the end of the poem? Give a reason for your answer. Well, right here, if you think about it, lines 1 through 4, he was getting bored. He just couldn't take it anymore. But then in lines 5 through 8, it says, he gets up, walks out, goes outside in the night sky, and then looks at the stars, right? So when somebody does that and they have to get away from whatever is bothering them or making them bored, do you think his mood changes? He feels better? I think he probably got happier after he got up and did that. So based on number 10, based on the poem, do you think this speaker would rather hear someone describe his favorite food? So he's going to give a lecture about his favorite food, or would you rather he just eat his favorite food and give a reason for your answer? I think that he would not want to hear somebody talk about their favorite food, but he'd rather eat it because he didn't want to be bored again. He gets bored with lectures. Now, right here is I want you to pick a time in your past when something made you feel bored. Okay. Then a change happened that made things more interesting. Maybe it was waiting at the doctor's office until you get the ice cream from your parents that your parents promised you afterward. Or maybe it was when you had to clean your room before you could play with your friends. Make sure to think of a time when you remember feeling bored, but when you also stopped feeling bored as soon as something you liked happened. So you're bored at first, and then you're not bored. Okay? So I want you to answer these questions. As number one, where were you? Write it down. Two, what were the people around you doing? Write it down. Number three, what did you hear, see, taste, touch, or smell? It could be, guys, it could be one of those things like, you're at your favorite place, which is the fair, Cleveland County Fair, which unfortunately I don't think we can have this year. Um, but let's say you're in line waiting for your most favorite ride. You want to just go ride that ride, and you can't get because you're in this really long line. And what you see people everywhere, you hear people screaming, and you smell the funnel cakes, which is my favorite thing to eat at the fair. And you can smell them. You touch, um, your friends that are with you, and all. It's not so exciting when you're waiting in line. But then, as you were waiting along, how long did it feel like you were there? How long did it feel like you were there? Probably felt like um, 10 years, or it might have felt like 2 days to just stand in line for, a ride where you had to stand in line really 2 hours. Not 2 hours, but 20 minutes, even though it felt like 2 hours. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Now, you're going to write your poem. And remember lines 1 through 4? Those lines right there are this right here is when you're bored. Okay. And so if you will number these lines 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I don't know why I just did that. Okay. And according to these questions, I just did it again. Number one, we'll go here. Where were you? So you're going to say, oh, I was, and then you're going to write where you were. 2, what were the people doing around you? Okay. The people were, 3, what did you taste, touch, hear, smell? All that. That's number 3. And then number 4. So you're going to answer those right here on these lines. Just going to bring those answers down here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's where you were bored. But then down here, things change. Things change right here, right? You don't have when anymore, but you're going to have different words at the beginning, and things start getting more exciting here. You finally get on that ride at Cleveland County Fair, and you feel so excited, and you finally get that funnel cake that you've been smelling for hours. Okay, so that's when it gets so you're bored at the top and you're excited at the bottom. Does that make sense? All right, do that for me. And um, if you would like, I will, well, no, in fact, I will look at those later, but um, just make sure you are creative with it, and can't wait to read them, guys. Talk to you later.